how much power do these imbeciles deserve? By every measure, the more we are governed, the worse Australia becomes. Economically, socially and, dare I say it, spiritually. One of the key contributors to this debacle has been our immigration policy, which has for decades been an absolute dog's breakfast, albeit a bipartisan one. Immigration is fraught with all sorts of technical, legal and cultural considerations, and only the finest politicians in the world can really get their heads around it. So here, for your convenience, is a sample of those fine politicians miraculously reaching the same conclusion and simplifying it for plebs like you and I.
Australia's diversity is a strength.
India's diversity is our strength.
Our diversity is a strength.
Our strength is our diversity.
Our diversity is a strength.
Our diversity is our strength.
Diversity is our strength.
Diversity is our strength.
Our diversity is our strength.
Diversity is our strength.
Diversity doesn't have to be a weakness. It can be our greatest strength.
Well, that strength is on vivid display in Australia right now as hordes of Palestinian sympathisers march through the centre of Sydney, past the cenotaph on Martin Place commemorating the millions maimed or killed defending Western civilisation, and on to the Sydney Opera House, one of the most marvellous architectural achievements of civilisation anywhere in the world, so they can chant death to the only democracy in the Middle East and cheer the kidnapping, rape and murder of Israeli women and children. Are you feeling stronger as a result, viewers? It gets worse. In another alarming piece in the Weekend Australian, foreign editor Greg Sheridan outlined how easy it would be for an aggressor to take Australia in a matter of days. Quote, "If Australia were attacked tomorrow by a militarily competent power, we would have no ability to defend ourselves. It's an unlikely prospect, but an undeniably sobering reality." Unquote. Well, he goes on to say that our two air bases, which are undefended against missiles, could be taken out first, followed by our joint communications facilities and our submarine base near Perth. Then Sheridan goes on, quote, "As to our surface fleet, that's the naval fleet, the attacker only has to worry about 3 air warfare destroyers. They can defend themselves against missiles and might survive the first round of missile attacks, maybe even the second. After that, the enemy can keep firing missiles or take any other military action it likes." Let me repeat that. Keep firing missiles or take any other military action it likes. There's nothing we could do about it. Unquote. There are 5 reasons for our military emasculation, which Sheridan lists, and I recommend you read them on the Australian's website. Sheridan reassured his readers that the United States would not let this happen. But he failed to acknowledge that US Commander-in-Chief Joe Biden has trouble remembering which ice cream he prefers for breakfast, so finding Australia on a map might be beyond his cognitive powers. And even if he did, he'd drip melted chocolate chip all over it so he couldn't read it anyway. Also, as I've pointed out several times on this program, China, the only country likely to attack Australia, has already all but done through stealth what Japan failed to do during World War II, which is take over the Solomon Islands, a strategic barrier between Australia and the US. It's not just the Albanese government that has made us so frighteningly vulnerable, but you'd have to say that at a time of global instability and latent war, this government's digression to renewable energy and a voice to Parliament borders on treasonous. Sadly, we've let these morons divide us as a country. The Voice to Parliament has exacerbated what previous governments and politicians had long been doing, which is try to frighten us into subservience while encouraging us to be divided and suspicious of each other. COVID, we now realise, was a slightly more virulent strain of the flu, but some Australians were so frightened of it that they snitched on their neighbours for having friends over, and cops shot innocent Australians in the back with rubber bullets for the crime of wanting to be free. We were so convinced that it was a mortal threat that we allowed the government to shut our country down and lock out Australians stranded overseas. How pathetic. This is not the Australia that stood up to Japan in the 1940s. What we desperately need now are better federal politicians.